Greetings! In this video, I will be creating a simple bash script to start and stop ExpressVPN. The reason for this video is because I received a request. Well, actually it was more of a question is a better term, though this might not be exactly what they were looking for. When I decided to get a commercial virtual private network, or VPN for short, ExpressVPN was not my first choice. It is somewhat more expensive than other commercial VPNs. It does not have a Linux graphical user interface, though it does have a command line interface. And when I was doing initial testing back when I was in the United States, performance was good, but it was not that much better than the other cheaper VPNs with a Linux graphical user interface, or GUI, for the client. However, I'm living in the Philippines, and when I tested ExpressVPN here, performance was observably better than any of the other commercial VPNs. Hence, I'm using it in the Philippines. I received a question on automating it under Linux from within the country, and that prompted me to write a simple bash script. Before actually doing the script, I want to talk a little bit about bash, the bash shell, the terminal. Nothing major, just keeping it very basic, just giving us some information to ground us. If you want to skip ahead, you can check the timestamps in the description. So let's get to it. Okay, before jumping into things, I want to make a few clarifying statements about commercial virtual private networks, or VPNs. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to be calling them VPNs from now on because it's shorter. VPN privacy and security have been much overhyped by the commercial VPN companies and lots of fanboys on the internet for many years. There are some serious questions about the amount of privacy you get with a VPN, and there are some serious concerns if it actually improves security or not. Anyway, this is not my use case. My use cases are as follows. Getting around blocked sites. I know my ISP has blocked some sites and they were justified in blocking them, but can you believe they blocked one of my mail servers? Kick on the VPN, I can get to it. Getting around my ISP, well, ISP is Internet Service Provider. I got to stop using these acronyms, or at least explain them. Internet Service Provider, ISP. Throttling things. At least I think it's my Internet Service Provider. Best example for me is YouTube. When I run it on my smart TV, it runs fine, but when I run it on my computer, it's buffering all the time. And it's like, why? Turn on the VPN and the buffering goes away. And before you ask, I do not have a lot of choice about high-speed ISPs with decent customer service where I'm at. The only other available ISP with fiber has outages all the time, and some of these outages last for a week or more. Well, at least that's what my neighbors say. My current ISP always answers their phone, and they have fixed any of the few outages there have been within 24 hours, usually within a couple hours. Only once I think it took 24 hours. Never underestimate the value of good customer service. I'm getting a little distracted here. Back to the points. I also use the VPN when I connect to public Wi-Fi and in like Starbucks or any of the malls around here or the airport. It's really not going to deter the ISP or the VPN from collecting data on you, but it will provide some protection from local hackers. You know, the guys portrayed on YouTube as sitting in the dark corner of the cafe with their hoodie up, typing on their laptop. You know, if I actually saw someone that obvious, I think I would walk up to them and ask how things are going. And the other use is getting around geo restrictions or blocking by any other name, which has come in handy with the amount of travel I've been doing lately. But to the subject at hand. The first task is to create the script to turn the VPN on and off. Once the script is functional, we need to attach it to our application launcher so that we can launch it from the Start menu. Now, none of this is overly difficult. Again, while ExpressVPN does have a decent terminal client under Linux, they do not have a graphical user interface client under Linux. Note that what I am presenting is based on my setup and how things work on my computer. This is going to vary somewhat depending on your graphical user interface, but anything I give here should be easily modified for most GUIs. But enough of my rambling, let's get to it. Okay, let's talk about bash and about scripts. The bash shell. Born again shell, or bash, is a text interface between you, the user, and the kernel. It's a program that executes other commands and scripts in response to text commands that you type. Now we need to be aware that bash is not the only Linux shell out there. A couple of examples are the original Boron shell, which was an early Unix shell. Bash is a modern take on the Boron shell. We also have C shell, the corn shell. There's also a Z shell, an Ash shell. Note that a graphical user interface, or GUI, is also a type of shell. With no GUI, the shell runs in something called a console or a text console, which is what you see with a text-only display. With a GUI, the shell will run in a terminal emulator provided by the GUI. So a bash script is a series of commands stored as a plain text file. Shell scripts are interpreted instead of compiled. That is to say, you run one line. Once it's finished, you move on to the next line, as opposed to compiling a binary out of it. Scripts are written to simplify procedures. Say you've got a process that takes 3 or 4 bash commands. You could write a script and automate this process and run them all from the script. All right, let's talk script creation. So the first question we're going to have to answer is where to store the script. I'm going to store it in /home/username/.local/bin. Script is specific to the user, my user. Even though it's a multi-user setup, I'm in a single user environment. I'm the only one using this computer, and I want to totally stay in user land, not move over into the system. So I don't want to mess with sudo or su or logging in as root. Traditionally, most programs are stored in one of the various bin or sbin directories, so it's a good place to put a script. Since it's a local script for my user only, I put it in my home folder. I use the .local and I add the bin folder. You must also specify executable file permissions. If you look at the file permission array, this is not a directory. The position would be a dash. User permissions are next with the read, write, and execute, or RWX, followed by group and world permissions, which are only read. There's no write or executable for those, which is what we want. We want, since I'm the one using the script, I should be the only one able to access the script. Or technically, I should be the only one able to change the script and execute the script. And again, the owner and group is going to be the user or myself, for both. And again, the main reason we're doing things this way is to avoid using sudo or su, keeping things totally in user land, where we can totally run them as a user without having to resort to administrative privileges. And of course, the format is plain text for the script. Okay, let's talk about my system here. So I'm running on Arch Linux. I'm running KDE Plasma. I'm doing things this way. I want to show that it's easy to do things in Linux. It's not as hard as people make it out to be. So we're going to get to the Info Center in KDE, which is my desktop environment. And we can see we're running Arch Linux and we're running KDE Plasma version 6.0.5. I believe there's an update to 6.1 available. I haven't loaded it yet. You can see our Qt version, kernel version. We're using X11 instead of Wayland. A lot of people say Wayland's ready to go. It's not. There's going to be a while. I have Wayland installed here too, but there's just some issues using Wayland. And I've got a 12th generation Intel i9 processor, 64 gigs of RAM, Intel graphics with a built-in NVIDIA card also. So this is a decently modern system. Let's get out of this and let's see what version of console we're running. This is console. It's the terminal program. Let's make text a little bigger, and bash version is 5.2.26. And bash is the shell program. It's running in console. Let's go look at the console version, which is 24.05.1. This probably means nothing to most of you, but this is the system under which this script is created and run. There might be slight differences depending on your system setup, and just be aware of that. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to create the folder for a file and the file itself, or the script itself. Remember, everything in Linux is a file. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do it through the graphical user interface, just to show that, and then we'll do it from the command line again. .local is a hidden file in our user directory, so we need to show hidden files. And there's our .local file. Let's go ahead and open it. We'll notice there's no bin directory inside, so let's go ahead and create one. Right-click folder, and let's call it bin, because that's what it is. Okay, there it is. Now let's go into the bin directory, and let's create an empty file to house our script. And we're going to call this ExpressVPN toggle.sh. The .sh ending usually indicates a script in Linux. It's not really required for a script. It just indicates that for us users. When you actually run the script, the system will look at the header of the script and determine that. Now, the other thing we need to do here is we need to make this file executable. So if we go to Properties, Permissions, and let's just tick the executable here. And then save everything, and we're done with this part of it. Now we just need to edit the script, but first we're going to do this through the terminal, just so we see both ways. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and call up a terminal and see how things go. As I said, our terminal emulator on KDE is called console with a K instead of a C. Let's increase our font size a little bit here. Okay, our present working directory, home/username, and we list all. We can, with the -al, we can see the hidden file. Let's clear up the terminal and cd into that directory, .local. And let's do an ls or list to see what's there. We can go ahead now and create the bin folder through the terminal. Make dir, bin, and list, and done. ls for list. Let's go ahead and move into the bin directory. cd, change directory. Use the touch command to create the file. Just the touch and the file name, expressvpn toggle.sh. And done. Let's do a ls or list al. And we can see we do not have execute permissions on the file we just created. So we'll use change mod user group, which is the first group, plus X for execute, and then the file name. All right. Now we can see it is executable for us, the user. And that's it for doing it under the terminal. Not so bad. Our next step now is to actually open the file in a text editor. We're going to use Kate, which is the advanced text editor for KDE for doing programming and coding and things. So we're going to use that to open this with. There's kwrite, but that's more of a word processor. Kate is a good environment to write this file in. So we first want to start with what they call the shebang. This is when the console, or when the shell looks into the file, it's going to look for this first line, which is going to tell us to run the bash shell. I should say not when the shell, when the kernel looks at this file, this is going to tell it what shell to run it in. Bin bash, and this is called the shebang line, and must have a £sign and exclamation point to start with. Next, we need to put in a whole bunch of comments. I'm a very big one for commenting your code, commenting your scripts, because when I come and look at this a year later, I want to know what I was thinking and what I was trying to accomplish. So yes, lots of comments. Always use lots of comments. Next thing we want to do, we're going to use the echo command to insert a line feed. This is just to make the text output look better. We're going to enter the ExpressVPN command with a -- version. This will print the version to the console for us to view. We might not have needed to do this, but we'll spice things up a little bit. Next, we want to get the status of ExpressVPN, and in this case, we're going to store it in a variable because we're going to use this in a couple of places. So the console command is ExpressVPN status, and we're going to put that in the variable capital EXPVPN. Then we're going to echo the variable to the terminal with the echo command, and then an echo for another line feed. Again, that's mainly to make the white space for making things look pretty. Well, as pretty as possible in a text terminal. Now we're going to use an if-then or an if then else statement to execute or connection or disconnection. So we're going to say if the variable ExpVPN is equivalent to not connected. Now the star on either side are wildcards so that we're just looking for the phrase not connected. The variable is going to, or the status is going to be connected or not connected, but there also might be version updates in the status too. So we need to find this piece of information specifically. And if it's not connected, then we do the if then ExpressVPN connect smart, which will connect us to the best available server. If it is connected, then we do an else ExpressVPN disconnect, and then fi closes the if then statement. No end if, it's fi and bash. Don't know why, but it is. Okay, now we need to exit. We want to hold the terminal that opens when we run this script open for a while. So first thing we're going to do is print some instructions. Again, echo with nothing else as a line feed, then echo -e. We can use the escape sequence here, the /e with the left square bracket and the M closing the escape sequence. These are going to change the text color and the background color and make the text blink. So 31 is red foreground color, 47 is the gray background color, and 5 makes you blink. And when we close the statement, the 0 resets our text. And we're going to echo that to the screen, and then we're going to finish up with the read command. Now the read command is going to pause this script and wait for us to enter something. This would be how you'd enter information into your program, into your script, and it's going to start again once it detects a line feed. So if we press enter return at the read command, it's last statement in the script, so the script will finish and exit. And there we go. The script is written. Not so hard, right? And to keep with doing things both ways, let's go look at how you'd edit the script through the terminal. I'm sure everybody wants to do that. There are a lot of editors for your terminal, Nano, Vim, or what I'm going to be using, VI. Nano is probably the easiest for beginners. So we're going to open a terminal here. So we're in the right folder. ls shows us the file we want to edit. We're going to type VI for editor and then the file name. And we can scroll around inside the program and we can go into edit mode and change things and basically do everything we could with the GUI editor. I mean, it's not quite as intuitive, but this is the way you do it. And we could actually write the program here, edit the program here, save the program here. The script, I keep saying program, it's a script, but I guess that counts as a program. Anyway, that's how we do it with the command line. So, all right, this is going to be really specific to KDE, but it should work in any of the other graphical user environments. So we go up to our launcher icon in the upper left corner, right click, and edit applications. We're going to, I think, put it under utilities. That sounds like a good place. Yeah, let's go ahead and highlight utilities and then select new item from the menu bar. And let's give it a name. And let's find an icon for it. Lots of icons. What's a good icon? Let's check this flower here. That'll work. There we go. Now we're going to be running console since that's our terminal emulator in KDE. And for the command line arguments, we're going to run it with the -e and then the path to our script. So -e will execute the script inside the terminal, and once the script exits, the terminal will exit. Then let's just save what we've done. Okay. Next thing we want to do, I want to add it to our favorites. So right click on it. And now it should be in our favorites. And there it is. Let's go ahead and click on it and run it and see what happens. It opens the terminal, connecting, connected, and since our terminal was full size last time we opened it, the current size is full. Let's make it a little smaller for the next go around. Okay, press enter, return, and the terminal closes. Cool. Let's do it again to see if it exits the VPN. ExpressVPN, disconnected, press enter, return to exit, and the terminal closes. Everything's working the way it's supposed to work, and we've sort of automated the process of using ExpressVPN under Linux. Okay, and there's lots of other things we could do with this, but that's for a later video, maybe, if anybody's interested. Okay, that's our script. And it worked the first time, so it must be a trivial script, as the standard saying among programmers is any non-trivial script will have at least one bug in it. But yes, it was simple. It did what we wanted to do. It started the ExpressVPN and turned it off. And it checked the status. So well and good. If I was going to expand this script, which I might, I'm kind of interested now in doing a little more work. You can use the terminal commands for ExpressVPN to list available VPNs. I could technically write those into an array, create a case statement to let you pick one, where you could log into something other than using the Connect Smart. That'd be one improvement. There are also commands to list past VPNs you've used and to list all preferred VPNs rather than just attaching to the best one. So there are a lot of things we could do with and it's just a matter of scripting them in Bash. But again, that's something for a later video if people are interested in this kind of stuff. I guess I'll find out when I publish this how many people are actually interested in it. Anyway, that's it for this video. It's not too terribly long, and you can, if you're running Linux and ExpressVPN, you can create a basic control script like this in about 15 minutes to half an hour. And like I say, you can do a lot more with Bash, but I've tried to keep things simple and straightforward and at a fairly low level. So hopefully everybody, regardless of your computer experience or your programming experience, understood the example. Anyway, just let me know what you think, and we'll catch you next time.